I still remember the exact moment my world shattered. We were sitting in our favorite coffee shop, the one where we'd spent countless Sunday mornings planning our future together. The afternoon light streamed through the windows, making everything look warm and perfect. But nothing was perfect anymore. "You're delusional," Marcus said, not even looking up from his phone. "This startup idea of yours is a complete waste of time. You'll never make it without my connections, without my guidance. You need me." His words hit me like physical blows. We'd been together for 3 years, and I thought he believed in me. I'd shown him my business plan dozens of times, walked him through every detail of my vision for a platform connecting independent artists with buyers who appreciated handmade goods. "I believe in this," I whispered, trying to keep my voice steady. "I've done the research. The market is there." Marcus finally looked at me, his expression cold and dismissive. "The market doesn't care about your feelings, Olivia. You're a dreamer, not a businesswoman. Without me, you're nothing. You'll fail, come crawling back, and waste years of your life chasing something that will never happen." I felt tears burning behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not here. Not in front of him. That night, I sat alone in my apartment, staring at my laptop screen. The business plan I'd worked on for months glowed in the darkness. Every word represented hours of research, planning, hoping. Marcus's voice echoed in my head, telling me I was nothing without him. The pain felt overwhelming. I'd loved him, trusted him, believed we were partners. But his words revealed the truth. He'd never seen me as an equal. I was just someone he could control, someone who made him feel important. I opened a new document and started typing. Not a goodbye letter. Not an angry email. I wrote out my commitment to myself. Every goal, every milestone, every dream I had for my business. I named my startup Artisan Connect and registered the domain that very night. By 3 a.m, I'd created a basic website framework. My eyes burned from staring at the screen, but I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Purpose. Determination. The kind of fire that comes from being told you can't do something. Marcus had meant to break me. Instead, he'd given me exactly what I needed. A reason to prove that I could succeed, that I was enough, that I didn't need anyone's validation but my own. I saved my work and finally went to bed, my mind already racing with plans for tomorrow. The next few weeks were brutal. I worked my day job as a graphic designer, then came home and worked on Artisan Connect until midnight. My savings account dwindled as I paid for website hosting, business licenses, and basic marketing materials. Every day brought new challenges. I didn't know how to code properly, so I had to learn while building. I didn't understand SEO or digital marketing, so I spent hours watching tutorials. I reached out to artists, explaining my vision, and faced rejection after rejection. "Why would I trust a platform that doesn't exist yet?" one artist asked bluntly. She had a point. I was asking people to take a chance on something invisible, on a promise with no proof. My apartment became my office. Papers covered every surface. My coffee table held sticky notes with ideas, deadlines, and motivational quotes I'd written to keep myself going. My friends stopped calling because I was always too busy to meet up. One evening, my mother visited and looked around in concern. "Honey, are you sure about this? You look exhausted." Maybe Marcus was right. Maybe you should find something more stable. Her words stung worse than Marcus's had. Even my own mother doubted me. I managed to smile and told her I was fine, but after she left, I cried for an hour. The loneliness of chasing a dream nobody believed in felt crushing. 3 months into building Artisan Connect, I made my first sale. It was just $45, a small ceramic bowl from an artist in Oregon to a buyer in Texas. But when I saw that transaction confirmation, I literally jumped up and screamed. My neighbor banged on the wall, shouting at me to keep it down. I didn't care. This tiny sale proved my concept worked. Real money had changed hands through my platform. An artist had earned income. A buyer had found something unique. My idea wasn't just a dream anymore. I immediately messaged the artist. "Thank you for trusting Artisan Connect. This is our first sale ever, and I'm so grateful you took a chance on us." She responded within minutes. "Your platform is exactly what artists like me need. Keep going." Those 3 words, "keep going," became my mantra. I printed them out and taped them above my computer. Every time I wanted to quit, every time the doubt crept in, I looked at those words. The single sale gave me courage to approach more artists. I showed them the transaction, proof that my platform worked. Slowly, a few more agreed to list their work. By the end of the month, I had 15 artists and had processed 3 more sales. The revenue barely covered my hosting costs, but I didn't care. Momentum was building. 4 months after our breakup, Marcus called. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. "Hey," he said, his voice softer than I remembered. "I've been thinking about you. How are you doing?" "I'm fine," I replied carefully, not offering more information. "Listen, I heard you're still working on that startup thing. I feel bad about how things ended. Maybe I was too harsh. If you want, I could introduce you to some people, help you get it off the ground properly." My grip tightened on the phone. Help me get it off the ground? As if I hadn't been doing exactly that for months while he did nothing but doubt me. "I appreciate the offer," I said slowly, "but I'm managing fine on my own." "Olivia, be realistic. You need connections. You need someone who understands business. Let me help you. We can even make it official, become business partners. I'll invest some money, help you scale." The old version of me might have been tempted. The version that craved his approval, that wanted him to see my worth. But that version was gone, burned away by late nights and small victories. "No, thank you," I said firmly. "I'm doing this myself." I hung up before he could respond. My hands shook, but I felt powerful. I'd chosen myself over his validation, and it felt incredible. 6 months in, everything started falling apart. I launched a new feature that was supposed to revolutionize how artists showcased their work. Within hours, the entire website crashed. Panic flooded through me as I frantically tried to fix the code, but I was out of my depth. I had to hire an emergency developer, which cost me $2,000 I didn't have. I put it on my credit card and prayed I'd figure out how to pay it back. The site was down for 3 days, and several artists left the platform, frustrated and disappointed. My savings hit zero. I survived on rice and canned soup, too proud to ask my family for money. The electricity bill went unpaid, then the internet bill. I was one payment away from losing everything. One night, sitting in the dark because I'd turned off all the lights to save electricity, I seriously considered giving up. Maybe everyone was right. Maybe I was chasing an impossible dream. Maybe I should just get a normal job and forget this whole thing. Then my phone buzzed with an email. A stranger, someone I'd never heard of, had sent me a message. "I've been watching your platform. I run a similar business in a different industry. If you're interested, I'd like to offer some advice. No strings attached. Just one entrepreneur helping another." The stranger's name was Helena Kane. She'd built and sold 3 successful companies and now spent her time mentoring new entrepreneurs. We met at a small cafe, and I immediately felt comfortable with her calm, no-nonsense demeanor. "I see potential in what you're building," she said after I explained Artisan Connect. "But you're making some classic mistakes. You're trying to do everything yourself, and you're scaling too fast without proper infrastructure." She spent 2 hours giving me detailed feedback. How to prioritize features, how to build relationships with artists more effectively, how to manage my limited resources. She didn't sugarcoat anything, but her criticism felt constructive, not cruel. "Why are you helping me?" I asked as we finished our coffee. Helena smiled. "Because 10 years ago, I was exactly where you are. Broke, scared, convinced I was about to fail. Someone helped me with no expectation of return. I'm paying that forward." Before she left, she handed me a business card. "Call me if you need advice. And Olivia, one more thing. Stop trying to prove something to your ex. Build this because you believe in it, not because you want to show someone they were wrong." Her words hit hard. She was right. Part of my drive came from wanting to prove Marcus wrong, from wanting to see his face when I succeeded. But that wasn't sustainable. I needed to find my own reasons, my own purpose beyond revenge or validation. With Helena's advice, I restructured everything. Instead of trying to be everything to everyone, I focused on a specific niche: handmade ceramics. I built relationships with 20 excellent ceramic artists, and created a premium marketplace specifically for their work. The finances were still terrifying. I was maxed out on my credit cards, behind on rent, surviving on the absolute minimum. I needed money desperately, but banks wouldn't give me a loan without collateral I didn't have. Instead of borrowing, I decided to take a massive risk. I used my last $500 to launch a targeted marketing campaign focusing on interior designers and home decor enthusiasts. If it failed, I'd have nothing left. No backup plan, no safety net. I barely slept the week the campaign ran. Every hour, I checked the analytics, watching traffic to the site, monitoring conversion rates. The first 2 days showed minimal results, and my heart sank. Then, on day 3, something shifted. An influential interior design blogger discovered the site and wrote a glowing review. Her followers flooded in. Within 24 hours, we processed more sales than we'd done in the entire previous month. The campaign wasn't just successful. It was transformative. Revenue tripled, then quadrupled. Artists were selling out of inventory. I finally paid my overdue bills and bought actual groceries. For the first time in months I could breathe. The breakthrough continued. A major home decor magazine featured Artisan Connect in their online edition. We gained 50 new artists and thousands of new buyers. Revenue climbed steadily, and I finally hired my first employee, a part-time customer service representative. Then I received an email that changed everything. Tech Forward Ventures, a well-known venture capital firm, wanted to meet. They'd been tracking Artisan Connect's growth and saw potential for massive expansion. The meeting felt surreal. I sat in their glass-walled conference room, presenting to 4 partners in expensive suits. They asked tough questions about scalability, market size, and competitive advantages. I answered honestly, showing them our numbers, our growth trajectory, our vision. At the end of the presentation, the senior partner leaned forward. "We're interested in acquiring a 30% stake in your company for $500,000. $500,000. The number echoed in my head. That money could change everything, could accelerate our growth by years, could give me financial security I'd never had. But something held me back. They wanted significant control over decision-making. They wanted to expand beyond ceramics immediately, to diversify in ways that felt wrong for our brand identity. They wanted to change the very things that made Artisan Connect special. "Can I think about it?" I asked. They gave me 1 week to decide. I spent days agonizing over the decision. $500,000 versus creative control. Security versus staying true to my vision. Everyone I talked to told me to take the money. "This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity," my father argued. "You'd be crazy to turn it down." Helena was the only one who understood my hesitation. "Money is easy to find if you're building something valuable," she said. "Your vision is irreplaceable. Don't compromise it unless you're certain." The night before my deadline to respond, Marcus called again. Somehow, he'd heard about the Tech Forward offer. "I always knew you had potential," he said smugly. "See? You just needed time to develop. Now that you're getting real backing, maybe we could revisit working together. I could join your team, help you navigate this new phase." The audacity stunned me. Months ago, he'd told me I'd never succeed. Now he wanted to ride my success. "Let me be clear," I said slowly. "I don't need you. I never needed you. You were the anchor dragging me down, not the wind pushing me forward. I succeeded because I left you behind." "You're still bitter," he said. "I was trying to protect you from disappointment. You should be grateful. Goodbye, Marcus." I hung up and immediately blocked his number. That conversation crystallized everything. I'd built this without him, despite him. I wasn't about to let anyone, including Tech Forward, take control now. I declined Tech Forward's offer. Their senior partner looked shocked when I called to give him the news. "You're making a mistake," he said. $500,000 for 30% is generous for a company your size." "Maybe," I agreed. "But Artisan Connect isn't just about the money. It's about creating something meaningful. Your terms would change that." After hanging up, I felt a moment of panic. Had I just turned down my only chance at real funding? But then I looked at our dashboard. Sales were growing organically. Artists loved the platform. Buyers kept coming back. We were profitable, even if small. I doubled down on my original vision. Instead of expanding to other products, I went deeper into ceramics. I created artist spotlight features, virtual studio tours, and educational content about ceramic techniques. The community we built became our greatest asset. 3 months later, another venture capital firm reached out. They specialized in artisan and maker markets, and they understood what we were building. Their offer was smaller, $250,000 for 15%, but with terms that protected my creative control. This time it felt right. I accepted, and suddenly we had resources to hire a real team, improve our technology, and expand our marketing. But I maintained final say over all major decisions. Artisan Connect remained mine. With proper funding and a small team, we grew rapidly. We expanded to include pottery, sculpture, and decorative ceramics from around the world. Our artist community grew to over 200 makers, each one carefully curated for quality and originality. But success brought new pressures. Managing people was harder than I expected. My team had opinions that sometimes conflicted with mine. We had heated debates about strategy, about which features to prioritize, about how fast to grow. I made mistakes. I hired someone who wasn't a good fit and had to let them go. I launched a feature that nobody used and wasted time and money. I said yes to partnerships that went nowhere. One evening, after a particularly difficult day where everything seemed to go wrong, I called Helena. "I don't know if I'm cut out for this," I admitted. Maybe Marcus was right. Maybe I don't have what it takes to run a real company. Marcus was a fool, Helena said firmly. And you're being one too if you let one bad day define you. Every successful entrepreneur has days like this. The difference is they keep going. She paused. Remember why you started this. Not to prove Marcus wrong. Not to get rich. But because you believed artists deserved a better way to connect with buyers. Has that changed? No, I said quietly. Then the rest is just details. Figure them out and keep moving. 18 months after our breakup, I ran into Marcus at a networking event. I almost didn't recognize him. He looked tired, older somehow, and his confident swagger had dimmed. "Olivia," he said, approaching cautiously. "Can we talk?" We stepped outside into the cool evening air. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. "I was wrong," he finally said. "About everything. You've built something incredible, and you did it completely on your own. I'm sorry for how I treated you, for not believing in you." His apology felt genuine, but it didn't bring the satisfaction I'd imagined. I'd spent so many nights fantasizing about this moment, about him admitting he was wrong. Now that it was happening, I just felt tired. "Thank you for saying that," I replied. "But I need you to understand something. I didn't build Artisan Connect to prove you wrong. I built it because I believed in it. Your opinion stopped mattering the moment you told me I was nothing." "I was threatened by your ambition," Marcus admitted. "I knew you'd outgrow me, and I tried to keep you small so you'd stay. That was selfish and cruel." "Yes, it was." I looked at him directly. "We're done, Marcus. Not just the relationship but the hold you had on me. I don't hate you, but I don't need your approval or your apology. I've moved on." He nodded slowly. "I hope you find everything you're looking for." I already have. 2 years after launching Artisan Connect, we landed our biggest deal yet. A major international hotel chain wanted to source all their decorative ceramics through our platform. The contract was worth $3 million annually. The day we signed the agreement, I gathered my team of 8 employees in our small office and told them what it meant. We were legitimate now. We weren't just a scrappy startup anymore. We were a real business with real impact. Our artists were thriving. I received messages weekly from makers who'd been able to quit their day jobs, who'd opened studios, who'd hired assistants because of the income they earned through our platform. That success meant more to me than any profit we made. But with success came attention. Bigger competitors noticed us. Some tried to copy our model. Others approached us about acquisitions. Every week brought new opportunities and new threats. Helena checked in regularly, offering guidance as we navigated this new phase. "You're at an inflection point," she told me. "You can stay mid-size and sustainable, or you can push for massive growth. Both are valid choices, but you need to be clear about what you want." I thought about what I truly wanted. Financial security, yes. Impact on artists' lives, absolutely. But also freedom to make my own choices, to run the company according to my values, to not answer to anyone else's expectations. The acquisition offer came from an unexpected source. Global Market, one of the world's largest e-commerce platforms, wanted to buy Artisan Connect outright. Their offer was staggering. $50 million for full acquisition. $50 million. I read the number over and over, unable to process it. That was life-changing money. Never work again money. Generational wealth. The Global Market executives flew in to meet with me. They painted a vision of taking Artisan Connect global, leveraging their infrastructure and user base to help artists reach millions of buyers. It sounded incredible. But they also made clear they'd be changing things. Expanding beyond ceramics immediately. Implementing their standardized processes. Integrating into their larger marketplace. Artisan Connect would become a category on their site, not an independent platform. I asked for time to consider. That night, I couldn't sleep. I walked through my neighborhood at 2 a.m, trying to sort through my thoughts. I'd built Artisan Connect from nothing. It was mine in every sense of the word. Every line of code, every artist relationship, every feature reflected my vision. Selling meant letting go of all that. But $50 million meant freedom. It meant security. It meant I'd never have to worry about money again. It meant I could do anything I wanted with the rest of my life. By morning, I'd made my decision. I accepted Global Market's offer. The negotiations took 6 weeks, with lawyers reviewing every detail. The day I signed the final paperwork, I became worth $50 million. After taxes and paying back investors, I'd clear $35 million. The number still didn't feel real. I kept checking my bank account, expecting it to be a mistake. But the money was there, solid and undeniable. My team celebrated, though some were nervous about what Global Market's ownership would mean for them. I'd negotiated positions for all of them in the transition, along with generous bonuses. They'd helped build this, and I wouldn't leave them behind. Helena took me to dinner to celebrate. "How does it feel?" she asked. "Surreal," I admitted. "I keep thinking about who I was 2 years ago. Broke, heartbroken, convinced I was about to fail. How did I get here?" "You worked harder than anyone I've ever mentored," Helena said. "And you stayed true to your vision even when it would have been easier to compromise. That's rare." As the reality sank in, I started thinking about what came next. I didn't need to work anymore, but I wasn't ready to retire at 31. I wanted to do something meaningful with this opportunity, something that would matter. That's when I remembered something Marcus had told me once years ago, when we'd still been happy. He'd pointed out his dream house, a beautiful historic property in the hills overlooking the city. Marcus's dream house had been for sale for 3 months. I'd seen the listing online, a stunning 5-bedroom Victorian with original details, wraparound porch, and panoramic city views. The asking price was $3.2 million. I called the real estate agent that afternoon. "I'd like to make an offer," I said. "Full asking price, cash, quick close." The agent sounded thrilled. "We can close in 2 weeks with cash." Let me draw up the papers. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing. Not Helena, not my family, certainly not Marcus. This was something I needed to do privately, for reasons I was still working out in my own head. Was it revenge? Partially, maybe. But it was more than that. This house represented everything Marcus had said I couldn't achieve. It was proof of how far I'd come, how completely his predictions had failed. The closing happened on a Tuesday morning. I signed the papers in a lawyer's office, and just like that, the house was mine. I stood on the front porch that afternoon, keys in my hand, looking out at the view. This wasn't just a house. It was a statement. A punctuation mark on the chapter of my life that had included Marcus. I'd taken everything he said I couldn't do and made it real. I posted a single photo on social media. The view from the porch, no caption, no explanation. Within an hour, my phone started buzzing. The messages came flooding in. Friends congratulating me. Former colleagues expressing shock. My mother calling to ask if I'd really bought that expensive house she'd seen online. And then, inevitably, Marcus. "Can we talk? Please. I saw your post. I need to see you." I almost ignored him. But something made me respond. Fine. Come to 847 Hillcrest Avenue tomorrow at 2. I didn't tell him I'd bought his dream house. Let him figure that out himself. The next day, I spent the morning arranging furniture in the living room. The house was mostly empty still, but I'd brought in a few key pieces. A comfortable couch, a coffee table, some lamps. Enough to make it feel like mine. At exactly 2 o'clock, the doorbell rang. I opened it to find Marcus standing there in a suit, holding flowers like this was a date. Come in, I said simply. He stepped inside, and I watched his face as recognition dawned. He'd been here before years ago, when it was someone else's house. He'd stood right where he was standing now and told me, "This is my dream house. Someday, when I've really made it, I'm going to buy this place." "This is," he started, his voice trailing off. "My house," I finished. "Yes. Welcome to 847 Hillcrest Avenue. I closed on it last week." Marcus walked through the house in silence. I followed him from room to room, watching him process what was happening. He ran his hand along the original woodwork in the dining room, the same way he'd done when we'd toured the open house years ago. "You bought my house," he finally said. Not quite a question, not quite a statement. "I bought my house," I corrected. "You only dreamed about it. I actually made it happen." He turned to face me, and I saw tears in his eyes. "Why are you showing me this? To hurt me? To prove I was wrong?" The question made me pause. Why had I invited him here? What was I trying to accomplish? "I thought it would feel good," I admitted. "I thought watching you see what I'd achieved would give me satisfaction, would validate everything I went through. But honestly, Marcus, standing here with you, I mostly just feel sad." Sad. Sad that you couldn't believe in me. Sad that you tried to make me small instead of helping me grow. Sad that we wasted 3 years in a relationship where you saw me as less than an equal. Marcus sat down heavily on the couch. "I ruined everything. With you, with my own career. I've been stuck in the same job for 2 years while you've become this incredible success story. Everyone knows what you've done. Everyone asks me about you. What do you tell them? That I was too stupid to see what I had." We sat in silence for a long moment. The afternoon light streamed through the tall windows, casting shadows across the hardwood floors. This moment felt like the ending of something, the final chapter before I could truly move forward. "I'm not telling you this to hurt you," I said gently. "But you need to hear it. You were wrong about me, completely and totally wrong. I didn't need you to succeed. If anything, leaving you was the best thing that ever happened to my career." Marcus wiped his eyes. "I know. But here's what else I need you to understand. Your doubt, your cruelty, your attempts to keep me small. None of that defined me. I defined myself. I chose to believe in my own vision when nobody else did. That's what made the difference. I'm so sorry, Olivia. For everything. I know you are. And I accept your apology. But that doesn't change anything. We're not getting back together. We're not becoming friends. This is closure, that's all." He stood up slowly. "Can I ask you one thing? How did you do it? How did you go from having nothing to all this?" I thought about the question carefully. I stopped waiting for someone else to validate my worth. I stopped seeking approval from people who'd already decided I wasn't enough. I focused on the work, on building something meaningful, and I refused to give up even when it seemed impossible. That's it. That's everything. After Marcus left, I sat alone in my new house and reflected on the journey. 2 years ago, I'd been heartbroken and broke, convinced I'd made a terrible mistake by pursuing my dream. Now I was sitting in a $3 million house, having just sold my company for $50 million. But the money wasn't the real success. The house wasn't the real victory. The true triumph was becoming someone who didn't need external validation anymore. Someone who trusted her own judgment. Someone who could stand alone and thrive. I thought about all the late nights, the moments of crushing doubt, the times I'd almost given up. Every obstacle had taught me something. Every failure had made me stronger. The struggle itself had been the education I needed. My phone buzzed with a text from Helena. "How did it go with Marcus?" "It went exactly how it needed to," I replied. "I'm ready to move forward now." "Good. Because I have an idea I want to run by you." Free for coffee tomorrow? I smiled. Helena always had ideas, and they were always interesting. The sale of Artisan Connect wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. I had resources now, experience, confidence. I could do anything. The question was, what did I want to build next? Marcus called me 2 days later, his voice hesitant. I know you said we're done, and I respect that. But I need help. I lost my job last month. I'm behind on rent. I don't know what to do. Part of me wanted to say it wasn't my problem. He'd made his choices, and now he was facing the consequences. But another part of me, the part that had learned about grace and second chances, couldn't just walk away. I'm not going to give you money, I said clearly. But I will offer you something else. I'm starting a mentorship program for people who want to launch their own businesses. If you're serious about turning things around, about actually working for your success instead of just talking about it, you can be part of the first cohort. You'd do that for me? He sounded shocked. After everything? I'm not doing it for you, I explained. I'm doing it because I believe people can change if they're willing to do the work. You'll have to prove you're serious. Show up on time, complete the assignments, actually listen to feedback. No special treatment because we used to date. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Okay. Yes. I'll do it. Thank you, Olivia. Don't thank me yet. Wait until you see how hard this is going to be. I launched the mentorship program 3 months later. 20 participants, including Marcus, met twice a week for intensive training on everything from business planning to marketing to financial management. I brought in Helena and other successful entrepreneurs to teach alongside me. Watching Marcus struggle was interesting. He'd always been good at talking about success, at presenting himself as knowledgeable and confident. But actually doing the work, facing his own limitations, admitting when he didn't know something, that was hard for him. Several times, I saw him revert to his old patterns. Making excuses, blaming others, acting like he knew better than everyone else. Each time, I called him out on it, privately but firmly. You're here to learn, not to perform, I reminded him after one particularly difficult session. Nobody cares about your ego. They care about whether you can actually build something real. Slowly, grudgingly, he started to change. He began asking genuine questions instead of pretending he had all the answers. He collaborated with other participants instead of competing. He shared his failures openly and listened to feedback. By the end of the 6-month program, Marcus had a solid business plan for a consulting firm. It wasn't revolutionary, but it was realistic and well thought out. More importantly, he developed the humility and work ethic he'd been missing. Thank you, he said at our graduation ceremony. Not just for the training, but for believing I could become better. The mentorship program's success inspired me. I'd spent $35 million on the house and living expenses, but I still had significant wealth left. I decided to invest it in helping others. I created a fund specifically for underrepresented entrepreneurs, women, people of color, anyone who faced systemic barriers to accessing capital and resources. We offered not just money, but comprehensive support. Mentorship, training, connections, everything I'd learned along the way. The first year, we funded 12 businesses. The second year, 25. Each one represented someone like I'd been, full of potential but lacking resources, facing doubt from all sides, trying to prove something to a world that didn't believe in them. I met with every entrepreneur personally. I shared my story, the failures and the successes, the moments of despair and triumph. I wanted them to know that success wasn't about being perfect or fearless. It was about being persistent and authentic. Helena joined the fund as a partner. Together, we built something bigger than either of us could have alone. We created a community where entrepreneurs supported each other, where success was measured not just in profit but in impact. Marcus's consulting firm became one of our success stories. He specialized in helping struggling companies turn around, using the lessons from his own failures. He'd never be wealthy, but he was stable and, more importantly, he was doing meaningful work. Standing on my porch 3 years after that coffee shop confrontation with Marcus, I reflected on everything I'd learned. The house behind me was beautiful, but it wasn't what mattered most. The money in my bank account was substantial, but it wasn't the real measure of success. What mattered was the journey from broke and heartbroken to financially secure and fulfilled. What mattered were the dozens of entrepreneurs we'd helped launch their dreams. What mattered was proving, first to myself and then to others, that you don't need anyone's permission to succeed. Marcus had told me I'd never make it without him. He'd been wrong in every possible way. But in a strange twist, his cruelty had given me the motivation I needed to push harder than I might have otherwise. His doubt had fueled my determination. I'd learned that success isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's not about revenge or validation from people who doubted you. It's about building something meaningful and staying true to your vision even when nobody else understands it. The real victory wasn't the $50 million or the dream house. It was becoming someone who didn't need those things to feel worthy. Someone who could stand alone, trust her own judgment, and help others do the same. As the sun set over the city, painting everything gold and pink, I felt grateful. Not for Marcus's cruelty, but for my own resilience. Not for the easy path, but for the difficult one that made me stronger. Not for external validation, but for the internal certainty I'd finally found. Success, I discovered, wasn't a destination. It was a way of moving through the world with confidence, grace, and generosity. And that was worth more than any amount of money.